So why are we in our community referring back to Marc all the time? Why am I doing that? That's a question I sometimes get from people I know. Is that somehow a lack in my personal autonomy or a lack in my own original thinking? Or is it something else? I personally believe that this honoring of Marc actually makes my own thinking more powerful and not less. But let's take it slow. So one, we hardly ever think a truly original thought. Let me say that again. I truly believe that we hardly ever think a true original thought. A lot of what we think goes back to things we've heard from other people. And mostly we're not even conscious of that. I mean, sometimes I hear myself talking and I think, oh, I sound like my mom. And I cringe a little bit. But even less obvious, there's so much that we just pick up from culture. And culture surrounds us like the fish that is surrounded by the ocean. We're just unconscious of it. And the first step is always to make something conscious. So that's one. Two, we literally stand on the shoulders of giants all the time. That's why we can see so far. That is a sentence I first heard from Ken Wilber, who himself got it from someone else. So he didn't make that up. And I mean, the only reason we don't have to literally reinvent the wheel all the time is because there is a cultural transmission from one generation to the next. And that is actually a big deal. And that transmission itself is really starting to break down at this historical moment in time, which is part of the meta crisis we're facing. And that is exactly why, three, the creation of a new lineage of transmission, a lineage that paradoxically both goes back thousands of years, literally to the wisdom of Solomon and other old spiritual traditions, as well as the scientific discoveries of all times, and is a new emergent at the very same time. This new lineage of transmission needs to exactly be a response to the current meta crisis. And that is, of course, also what I've learned from Dr. Marc Gafni. And I mean, Marc is really this genius in formulating this new language, this new grammar of value, the new story of value. That is precisely his unique gift. And he, of course, draws deeply from all those sources, the lineages of old, the modern sciences, and the postmodern understanding of different perspectives, and weaves them all into an integral whole larger than the sum of its parts. And when I sometimes have a question, then I mostly try to answer it myself first. And then I go with what I have found to Marc and ask him that question. And then mostly he responds in a way that totally deepens my understanding. And that's why I've chosen him as my teacher, right? But then, of course, I am called as a student, as a lineage holder myself, to bring these teachings through my own prism, to live and practice these teachings in my own life, to really understand them with my body, to embody them. And through that, I may actually evolve a piece of the teaching myself in some major or minor way. Who am I to tell? Or I just create a bridge for someone else to relate to and maybe to follow. That is what we in our Unique Self Symphony at the center are trying to do all the time. And we support each other in that. And of course, Dr. Marc supports all of us as well. So in a very deep sense, to quote and honor someone, like what should be good academic practice as well, actually makes what we say more powerful and not less. I did not just make this up, but what I am saying is grounded in the deepest sources of wisdom I can find. And then maybe I am able to add a unique note of my own to this symphony of spirit.